Hello and welcome. My name's Frank and this week's focus is actually a two-parter. Italy is too big of a wine country to condense into one video. So I'm going to be focusing on the northern regions and Louise will focus on central and southern next week. I'm going to be looking at Piedmont, the Alto Adige, Lombardy, Veneto and Friuli, all world-class famous regions, but some are certainly more well-known than others, but they all deserve their moment of glory in the sun. As a wine-producing country, Italy can be a nightmare to navigate around. A myriad of different indigenous grape varieties that are only found in one small area, meaning that sometimes it's actually easier to identify wines by the region, Barolo, Valpolicella, Chianti, than the grape varieties that it is made with, Nebbiolo, Corvina, Sangiovese. And unlike a lot of the international varietals like Chardonnay and Cabernet Sauvignon, they don't have a New World counterpart, meaning that if you want to try an Italian style, you have to go for the real thing. Climate-wise, it's also nice to split Italy the way that we have, with that north-south divide. It's often thought that all of Italy benefits from that warm Mediterranean climate, whereas actually the northern areas have a cooler continental climate. This extends the growing period long into autumn, leading to more concentration in the grapes and balanced levels of acidity and alcohol. The Alps has a cooling effect in areas like Piedmont as well. All combined, this leads to a leaner and fresher style of wine being produced at other areas in Italy. It does mean that there's slight more vintage variation with issues around frost, hail and excess water. Throughout Italy, we have three main quality levels for wine, starting with IGT. This is the entry-level style, with grapes sourced from anywhere within that one region. This is the equivalent of Vin de Pays or table wine in other countries. It can be a source of really good quality and value from top producers, as well as some interesting styles with grapes sourced from outside of the norm. We then have DOCG, which is the country's protected designation of origin. This governs the geographical limitations of that one region, meaning that all grapes must be sourced from within that area, using only permitted grape varieties for that region, as well as yield, quality, and winemaking techniques. Above that, we have DOCG, which is reserved for the country's top wine regions, with stricter rules on yield and quality to maintain those high standards. Other labelling terms that you might find on labels are Classico and Riserva. Classico implies the original heart centre of a region. As certain areas became more popular in the 60s and 70s, the area expanded. Classico implies that it's from the better sites on the slopes with a smaller geographical region, implying a higher level of quality. Riserva means that the wine has been aged for an extra year in oak or in bottle before it's been released, to help soften the tannins and allow some tertiary aromas to show. Starting with Piedmont in the northwest, probably my favourite Italian wine region, with some very well-known wines like Barolo, Gavi and Asti. It's heavily influenced by the Alps, giving a cooling breeze throughout the vineyards, preventing it from reaching those high temperatures found in the south, which leads to a leaner and fresher style of wine being produced. The main red grape variety is Nebbiolo. It's an early budding and late ripening varietal, meaning that it has a long time on the vine exposed to all of the weather. It does mean that it needs to be planted in just the right location to prevent it from being affected by any of the elements. It produces big, full-bodied styles of wine with high levels of acidity, tannin and alcohol. But its colour is very pale garnet, meaning that some people may think they're about to taste something that's very light and elegant. But the taste definitely disproves that. You should expect flavours of black cherry, licorice, raisin, leather and game. Nebbiolo is the only grape variety permitted in the production of Barolo and Barbaresco, two small areas around the town of Alba which produce the best examples of Nebbiolo. Both of these wines require a long time in oak before release and many years in storage before they're ready. My advice is don't cut corners. Buy the best and wait until it's ready to drink. Your patience will be rewarded. The other two key red grape varieties in Piedmont are Barbera and Dolcetto. Currently the underdogs of the region by comparison to Nebbiolo, but they are a source of really good everyday drinking wines without the need for long-term storage. Barbera is high in acid, low in tannin, making it feel soft and round on the palate, with lots of fresh red fruits of red cherry and strawberry. Dolcetto is low in acidity and high in tannin, making it ideal for pairing with rich tomato-based dishes or a protein-rich dish with lots of salt. Expect more darker fruit with the Dolcetto. There are some noteworthy white wines in Piedmont as well. Gavi and the sparkling Asti. Gavi is from a small area specialising in dry, crisp and refreshing white wines using the Cortese grape variety. Gives the wine lots of lemon zest and green apple characteristics. You may often see Gavi di Gavi written on labels. This is just their version of Classico, implying the original heart centre of the region from the better quality vineyards. Asti is made using the Moscato grape variety, which is highly aromatic and perfumed, with lots of peach characteristics. Whilst there's lots of Asti Spumante on the market, look for Moscato di Asti, which is the top quality press of the grapes. It's light, fresh, elegant and sweet, and at only 5.5% alcohol. It's the ultimate breakfast fizz. Between the more famous regions of Piedmont and Veneto, there's some lesser known regions that may have skipped you by, so here's a quick summary. The Alto Adige is a mountainous region bordering Austria, where the majority of people speak German as opposed to Italian, meaning there's a more Germanic influence within the wines, with grape varieties like Pinot Blanc and Pinot Gris, and reds using Trollinger. Now these wines are rarely found in the UK market, but are delicious if you can find them. Sadly, as land is very expensive and only 10% of the area is suitable for wine production, prices can be steep. Lombardy is an area famed for sparkling wine production called Franciacorta. This is a traditional method sparkling wine using grape varieties of Chardonnay, Pinot Noir and Pinot Blanc. The wine rests on the lees, usually for longer than most sparkling wines, giving a more full-bodied and intense characteristic. These can be an amazing alternative to wines like Champagne and Cremant. Veneto is another very famous region with some highly recognisable wines like Valpolicella and Soave. The majority of the vineyards are situated close to Lake Garda, which helps moderate the temperature. The area is famed for a production method called Appassimento, where part of the grapes are harvested 10 days before everything else, when acidity levels are still high. They're then left to dry for up to 4 months, which concentrates the sugar levels. These can then be made into a sweet wine, Recioto, or allowed all of the sugar to ferment into a dry style called Amarone. These are big, full-bodied wines with very high alcohol, sometimes as high as 18.5%. Once these wines are made, the skins of those grapes are then reused and fresh wine is pumped over the top. It gives the wine some of the flavour developed through drying the grapes, but without the intense body or alcohol. This method is called ripasso. Certainly the most famous of this style is Valpolicella, which will be labelled in according to its style, i.e. Amarone della Valpolicella. These wines are all based around the Corvina grape, as well as Molinara and Rondadella. These grapes give the wine a sour red cherry characteristic and chocolate, as well as rum and raisin if made in the Appassimento method. For a lighter and fresher style, try Bardolino, which is located a little bit closer to Lake Garda. The main whites from the area are from Soave, using the Garganega grape variety. It gives the wine a gentle chamomile hint, as well as lemon peel and green apple. Both Soave and Valpolicella do have a Classico region, so do hunt those down if you want more intensity in your wines. It's difficult to talk about Veneto without mentioning Prosecco. Based 30 miles northeast of Venice, the area of Treviso produces over 500 million bottles of Prosecco every year from the Galera grape variety. These light, fresh, sparkling wines with a focus on primary fruit characteristics offer people everyday luxury drinking. This is achieved through the second fermentation happening in a large pressurized tank and being bottled within a matter of months instead of the years necessary for champagne, all in all helping to keep the costs low. Finally, a quick overlook on Friuli, the area that borders Slovenia. It has the largest plantings of international varietals like Merlot, Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, as well as large plantings of Pinot Grigio. But it's the indigenous varietals that are the ones to look out for, with Friuliano for the whites and Refosco for the reds. These are great summertime drinking wines if you can find them. We've only touched the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Italian wine. Just trying all of the wines mentioned in this video should keep you busy for a couple of weeks. But we've got Louise back next week to discuss central and southern Italy, where you can see how style and flavour changes due to the warmer Mediterranean climate. Open up a bottle of Italian wine, pair it with a rich tomato-based dish and enjoy. Hope you're enjoying the videos. As always, any questions, please email events@averys.com. Cheers, goodbye.